Tucker from National Fire Radio. I'm here with the chief of the race control.
The fire and fire rescue and extrication for the Formula One race.
All right, Denis Picard. Now, you've been here for almost 30-something years now?
I might have to correct you. This year is my 41st Formula One Grand Prix. I did them all since there's only 3 of us still doing it.
The original.
But I've been in Montreal doing racing for the last 42 years. Because one year there was no Formula One. We had NASCAR and Car the same year.
Right.
To replace Formula One.
So you've been here since this track opened?
Yeah.
And that was in
1978.
78. Wow. So can you, a lot of the things that have happened on the track, some accidents, can you reflect on any of those?
Oh, absolutely.
And
well, just to place you, when I started, I was working. First year, I worked as a firefighter, just a single firefighter in the old pit lane. Second and third year, I worked as a firefighter paramedic on an ambulance. The second year, I was working 1980. There was a major crash in corner 4, which is corner 4 now. Then I believe it was corner 10. The driver's name, Jean-Pierre Jabot, the Formula One driver. He hit the wall in front of about 200 feet from us, great speed, and he was seriously injured. And we worked and extricated him for it took about 45 minutes to get everything fixed. That's pretty long for us.
yeah, that's a long time.
And I was the first, in Canada, I was the first guy driving around the racetrack because there had no pace car then. It was just yellow or white flag. So during the Formula One race, I drove around my ambulance with the driver to the medical. I really got
Yeah, back in those days, Formula One didn't stop for any reason. There'd be a crash, weather conditions, you'd race in the snow, the rain, whatever, monsoons, anything. The cars would not stop. There was no red flags. You'd have an accident. These guys would work on the side while the race was still going. In that particular corner, all you'd have is a yellow. They would slow it down to about half speed, but they'd still be racing.
Absolutely.
And nowadays we've kind of changed that. If you have a major incident in Formula One, you're not going to have anymore just a yellow flag in the corner. They may red flag the race. They'll bring them back into the pits. They'll line up. The engineers and pit guys will not be able to touch the cars. The drivers may or may not get out, depending on how long it may take to do the extrication of the fire or to move whatever debris on the track. But now it's a lot safer than it ever has been. These cars are extremely safe, going at extremely fast speeds. Probably the safest cars on the planet, I would say.
Most probably,
yeah.
The cars are built for racing, but the security of the driver has improved with years because now they have special protection which they didn't have. If we refer in the 80s, the driver's feet were
right
in front of the car. The first part of the body to be hurt was the legs and feet.
Yeah, now in the 70s, the cars had fuel pods right on the sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you got run into or you'd hit a fence, they would just rip open. They aren't like the fuel containers now, which are actually right behind the driver's seat. And before, they were giant pods sitting on the sides.
Absolutely.
And especially when you got lighter on fuel and there was just fumes in there, you had a bomb. And and that must have been really different to work on those cars. But now we're into the new age with the electric motors in there. So that
gas, electric, and the component. Even the cars have changed so much. Just the wings, the front wing, the back wing. They can choose the angle and the tires and the suspension and the fire protection. So many things they didn't have then.
Right.
We were talking about accident. One accident which was really terrible, the first driver to die in Montreal in 1982. Fatality.
Oh, okay.
He died at the start. I believe it was Pironi's engine dropped and he couldn't move, and the other one was coming great speed.
Right over.
And
Yep.
when I was working on a tow truck that year, because the ambulance was given to somebody else, I was doing, and I was, I'd say, 100 feet from where the car hit, and within, I'd say, 30 seconds, it was an inferno.
Yeah.
And the driver's knee, they were up here. Since you are hit so hard, it was terrible, and it took long time to put the fire out, extricate him, and that's one of the most terrible accidents we had in Montreal in those days. After that, we had Kubica a few years back.
We had talked about on the phone, and that was at that accident was actually at 75 Gs, which is amazing. That's what the fighter aircraft seats are made to withstand when they crash. So that's showing that a car did that, and that was a horrific accident.
Absolutely.
The Olivier Penny accident on, I guess that was on the last straight before the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was many incidents. Usually, Formula One races are so much supervised. You know, the drivers, the team communication. We don't live the same kind of crashes we had then. There's few of them, but all the other sport races.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're talking Ferrari Challenge, you're talking Porsches, you're talking Formula 1600, you're talking, we had the Atlantic racing, we had major incident here. But for us, most of the time it was more a medical matter than life-threatening situation with fire and extrication. But with even the old vintage car, one year he hit for corner 4. The poor man had both wrists broken. He was cut in his car. Luckily, we didn't have, but it was modern years, but old technology.
Old technology.
Yeah.
When we were here
to get organized. And
2 years ago, it was before the hairpin here. We were on a small straight, and one of the Tyrells actually lost a tire.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you're talking a car that Jackie Stewart would have driven in, say, 73, and these guys are pushing it at the same limits that they were at those days. But, you know, things can go wrong.
Yeah, but, you know, to me, as the fire chief, my main concern will always be the safety of my people.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that we developed techniques in racing, working either on a fire extrication, trackside, pit lane, special techniques for people not to be aware of what might be happening. Because, you know, you're sitting next to a catch fence or a wall, and some cars, even ferry cars, 3 or 4 years ago, we had 2 major incidents, corner 1. One was a Ferrari Challenge car, and there was not much left of the car when he hit. And the firefighters in that corner, they got scared like crazy. They just dig down as much as possible to make sure they wouldn't get hurt. But you can imagine a debris flying. The car is going maybe 200 kilo an hour, which would be 160 miles an hour, something like that. And this particle that's going to fly from the car is traveling maybe 3 times the speed of the car. So you get hurt in the face, on your arm. I got firefighters that got just a piece of a little metal piece there, and it hit him right there. And you should have seen the bruise he had. I mean, it was just so safety is the main matter for us. We educate because working municipal, industrial fire, fire brigades, this is one thing, but around the racetrack, lots of things are changed, and we need to be concerned and aware what could be happening. So you have no police car, no ladder truck to protect you. It's you, your fire extinguisher, and your good judgment. So we surround them very carefully to make sure nobody's going to be at risk.
Yeah, and with these support series, we were just in the paddock area, and we walked around and looked at some of the Ferrari Challenge cars that they're getting ready. And with that, we had pieces of cars. So these are entire sides of cars. So if they get damaged, these guys are going to repair them and they're going to race them on Sunday. So they could go into a wall and have the whole side of the car demolished, and they're going to rebuild that car and it will race on Sunday.
Will you allow me? I would like to show you just a little something.
Yeah.
A few seconds. This flew from a car 1 year, a Formula car, and this piece, metal piece, went through the catch fence and passed by maybe 10 feet from my firefighter. It could have, if that would have touched him, yeah, he would have died on impact. It's heavy.
Yeah, it's
for a racing car, it's light, but
yeah.
throw that at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
I mean.
Now, is this piece to the front suspension?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is heavier than I would think.
So
Wow.
you know, you never know. I went through history of Formula One, and yet I know many firefighters have died being around a racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
In those days, we just remember in France, I believe it was in the 30s, or after the Second World War. Anyway, the car flew. I mean, I believe the car hit 72 people, killed them instantly. They had no protection. They had, you know.
Yeah, well, that was before the days of even real fences. When
Yeah.
Formula One would have. They were raced, a lot of them in the mountains, and the mountains behind us here in Canada, and they would line the tracks with hay bales. And it protects a little bit, but they also catch fire.
Easily, very easily.
And you know, the cars would roll, and then
They would
roll,
fly just touching the bale.
and then the hay bales would catch on fire. So not only do you have an extrication, but then you have all this other stuff on fire.
And
as well.
extrication then was, let's say, pliers and come along and, you know, crowbars. It wasn't the same.
They were all like the bird cages were in the day, where all it was just tubing. And,
absolutely.
And if the welds didn't hold up, they were breaking and going in all different directions, through the driver or through fuel systems and leaking, and then you have to pay attention to that when you're trying to pull the drivers out and all the rest. So are there anything that does Formula One do anything for you to work on the safety, or how they want you to approach the cars, or you just have to kind of learn that on your own?
What I will share with you is like any companies that build cars, they're gonna keep their secrets.
Yeah.
You know, Formula One is like the laboratory for future cars. You know, many of the technologies Formula One had years ago, now we see it in everybody's car.
Seatbelts, people, came from Formula One.
Yeah. And but one thing I'd like to share that with you. In my career, last winter I was just figuring out how many racing days I did in my life. I figured that I did 2,333 days.
Wow.
So it's many days.
Yeah.
You consider 10 hours a day, plus preparing, plus the, you know. But through all of this year, I'd like to share that with you. I've known two people that died in racing. One died in Toronto with the IndyCar then. He got struck by a car. His name was Gary. He used to come to Flagger, a marshal. He used to come to Montreal. I met it through friends. I met him a couple of times. I was sorry to hear that he was the one. His partner was injured for life. And the second one was, his name was Jean-Patrick. Jean-Patrick he worked here as a flagger, a good young man. He used to come to Mont Tremblant like other racetrack, you know, and very funny. One year he went to with some flaggers of Quebec in Vancouver. It's in 1990, and him and his partner, they were hit again by an Indy car, and that touched me very much. And from there, I decided that as a good firefighter or a trainer, what you live, you need to share it.
Absolutely.
To improve.
Yep.
But what I learned from Jean-Patrick, from Gary, and some other friends that were hurt in the racing, other drivers or else, we share it to our people because we don't want this to happen. It's a sport.
Right.
It's a racing sport, but we are there to help and save life and protect properties, but not for us not to be aware. Well, it's full of surprise.
Yeah,
so
just like everything else in firefighting, we are the rescuers, but we still have to come first. You don't want to put good after bad, and if you think it's a bad situation, they got themselves into that situation, and sometimes we can't help them. Very few times that we do that,
that's it.
But you don't want to throw good after bad.
If we can provide information for them to be protected, and even the drivers. 1 year in Tremblant, they had all these fuel tanks, but none of them were grounded. So a spark of any kind, it would have Since then, the Canadian, ASN Canada organized, and now they spread all over other racetrack. You're doing refueling, you need grounds for the one not having them.
Yeah.
So all details like that will help our people, but we help also motorsport.
Sure.
We live for that, but we need to be safe first and give the best information to everybody, always.
Now you said you had 130 people under your command here?
This year I'm having 132 firefighters.
Now these firefighters and EMS workers, or just firefighters?
Well, to be part of the team, they need to be certified firefighters to start.
Okay.
But many of them in their community, they work as paramedic or specialize in extrication. So when we reorganize, everybody starts at the same place around the track to know how things are, how we do our things. The second year with experience, I place them in different units where they're going to use their knowledge from industrial or municipal experience, but we always have to adapt their knowledge to what racing, the car, whatever it is. So if something goes wrong, they have experience, but we're going to build with what they have, their commitment, everything. And that's why I'm very proud of the people working with me, and we work as a team. We're firefighters, we share the same goal.
Yeah, we talked to a couple of the guys that were out there, and a lot of them seem to have been with you for a long period of time.
Some of them, there's at least 10 of them, close to 30 years, if not a little more. But we every year we get, in the beginning we had only 45 firefighters around the track. Then we improved to 85, then 110, then 125. So to cover everybody, every corner, every place with the maximum personnel, I need at least 125. 1 year I had 180 firefighters. So in some spots, instead of having one firefighter, two firefighters. Nice. So they like their racing, they like their job, but they're there to do a job, which is our goal as firefighters and medical.
Yeah.
We share it, and we're proud. We're proud of what we're doing. And
now,
I'm surrounded with wonderful people.
Yeah.
Well, the proof of it, you're there.
Now, did Can-Am race here? Or was that in the old track?
The old track. They used to race in Trevor.
Yeah.
They came to Mont-Tremblant maybe a year or two, but not in the gold years,
right.
But after what was left of the series, they come, but Can-Am, yeah. I did like in Canada, 1 year they had the Halifax Grand Prix. which was organized by Moosehead. And the first year they did it by themselves, but there was a tragic accident. The driver didn't die, but got burned severely because they didn't know exactly how to reorganize their rescue around the track. That year they asked us, where we're doing Montreal and Trevor, to go and help them. We did it for 4 years. We did all the I did all sorts of racing. The only time like in Montreal in I believe it's in 1990, Sport Prototype came to Montreal the only time from Europe.
Yeah.
So in Halifax we had Formula 2. They never came in Canada except that year. We were there. We did the Delight in the name it. We did them all. And we learn every time. But I must admit, I don't want to reduce or lower what other people did. But working with some of the nicest moment there was working with their approach was different. People from NASCAR, Chemcar, R&D, and different series. It's different, but they were very much happy working with us, and we share.
Now, is the hardest to work with Formula One because of all their regulations and so forth, or are there other series?
They go all around the world, in many racetracks. So, for many a long time, Canada, the people working the Formula One race, we were recognized, and we still are recognized, except that things move so fast. People change, mentality change, technology change, so we always have to ask. They don't give us
any
information.
We
have to ask. It's different from other series where they know you're there for them. The drivers of the Formula One cars, they are aware and they are concerned about the workers and everybody, but the organization doesn't see it with as much dedication, should I say, than other series. But it's something big. It's all around the world.
Right.
And we respect them, we love them, but we have to do our job. Our job is our job. Some series are easier to work with, some others are harder. But the show must go on always.
What's the most rewarding thing you've gotten out of this?
Pride. Pride of the people working with me. I realize that I'm a crazy firefighter because I love my job in every way. And I deal and work with friends, people that becomes friends, and they carry the same spirit as I. And so when we are together, it's you saw it today.
Yeah.
It's friendship, it's fun, but when we're gonna turn to do our job, then we're going to have fun, but always ready for our job. But that's a privilege. Many people said, "How come, Chief, you've worked so many years preparing Formula One and other racing and never getting paid?" My answer is very simple. My reward is the smile of the people coming and sharing these moments with us. We're happy at the end. How many times people, I saw many of my people sometimes even crying because they're looking forward to coming back next year, Chief, So I do it for them, make changes in their life. We carry the same spirit, so it's a privilege doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a privilege. Even like the first times we talked to you and I.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
hit it off.
communicate. We know what we're talking about. We carry the same spirit, so that's the way
I think every phone call we've had was over 20 minutes.
Minimum.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much. And, we're going to try to do a little more interviews with you if we can get some more stuff during this weekend. But I'm glad you had a little time to sit down with us and we could gather this, and hopefully it'll start a long friendship.
We're going to share, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do for you all. We're brothers as a family. we're going to be there for you. We're going to
Thank
do
you
the best
so
we
much.
can for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tucker National Fire Radio with the chief, new friend,
Absolutely.
Denis Picard.
Thank you.
Thank you.